this movie's gritty, it's dirty, it's bloody, it's a violent good time with great soundtrack. I thought like still that metal music sequence within the club, I thought like, I was just like, damn, you don't hear this within action sequences, and this needs to happen more often. Hello, Drive By Movies here, and you're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaise.
And today we're checking out Dev Patel's new film, Monkey Man.
Do you remember me now?
Monkey Man is the story of an anonymous young man who unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and powerless. So, James, this is the long-awaited Monkey Man from Dev Patel. I think this film was kind of stuck in development hell for a long time, but also even stuck in just kind of like the cutting room floor. It felt like we weren't going to see this movie unless it was, for Jordan Peele coming in and making sure that it gets finished and, adding his expertise and, cleverness, I guess, to releasing pictures to Dev Patel and, helping him release this film. So I'm glad that, of course, Jordan Peele helped out with that and we finally got to see Monkey Man. But anyways, what did you think of the film?
And also, I respect giving creative freedom because this movie is still very different from a lot of the action movies we get these days, but still has a lot of familiarities that you might see. Like a lot of people are comparing this to like a different version of like a John Wick style movie. Like I could see a mainstream movie or a mainstream studio trying to not necessarily dumb this movie down, but just they would have focused more on like a lot of the action sequences in the trailer. And the trailer kind of focuses on that too, but there is still a lot to say within the story. But yeah, it's a very fun movie. I miss the grittiness of action. I do enjoy the John Wick movies, but I hate to sound like just one of those people, just like you've seen it all once you've seen The Raid and The Raid Part 2. What I love about those movies are just the grotesque grittiness of those movies. They feel like horror films, action movies, they are fun, but I like the more grittiness, like disgusting take on action movies, because at the end of the day, action isn't pretty. And I thought John Wick captured on that, the first one, but the sequels got a little bit more playful, more cartoony, which is still fun, but I liked the grittiness, the brutalness of this movie, and it definitely felt more of a throwback to like The Raid and The Raid Part 2. And Dev Patel's got a great eye, and I'm excited to see what he has to do next. I don't think this film was like perfect by any means, but still thoroughly enjoyed it. What are your initial thoughts coming out of it?
Is the film The Night Comes for Us? That's like Timo Tjahjanto one too. I felt like it reminded me very much of that as well.
Correct. Yeah, that's Timo Tjahjanto's film. Yeah.
Because that film is definitely very, brutal and gritty, and it definitely felt like it was kind of going more along those lines. I totally agree with you there. I felt like this film it's obviously Dev Patel's baby, and I did appreciate that it felt like it was at least grounded in something that I had no knowledge of, the story of Hanuman, the Monkey Man. And I'd say I really enjoyed this movie. I will say for some of the action, it was almost a little bit too much at times. Like even seeing on the big screen, I was like kind of taken aback. I couldn't really comprehend some of it was what was going on, because it felt a little bit less like the Raid movies in terms of like the action and cinematography. It felt more along the lines of something like the Bourne movies, where it's a lot of extreme close-ups, fast moving cameras, and just really fast editing, where I do feel like sometimes when it comes to Gareth, is it Gareth Edwards or Evans? I always forget.
It's Evans. Edwards is a Godzilla guy.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I was close. It was a 50-50 shot, and you miss all the shots that you don't take, so I missed that one. But I'd say that it did feel more like those films will, go to the wide because they're so confident in their choreography, and all their fight choreography is really really dialed in, and it really benefits from being in a wide shot, where it felt like a lot of the action, there were a lot of wide stuff, but when it comes to the editing, they would use a lot of extreme close-ups and stuff, and it almost like took me out a little bit at times, but I think that it was really, really well shot.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, I thought, one of the cooler aspects, especially also with the color grading within this movie. Every sequence with Sharto Copley and his arena, I thought like the color palette that was used during those sequences, as well as just like, the final fight scenes within the club sequences, I thought looked fantastic and definitely memorable. A lot of images that'll be stuck in my head. Even just the poster itself, despite it looking very similar to the first Omen poster. Not sure if it was the same artist or not, but you brought it up. Like, it's funny. I had just seen a TikTok about it. Then like a couple hours later, you sent me a text about it. Like, dude, what is up with these two posters? I was dying laughing at that. But yeah, I really enjoyed also the soundtrack within this movie too, hearing metal music. But it's I think a lot of people might find this film boring though, just because it actually takes a while to get to the action sequences. There is still a lot within the like introduction of the movie, but it is a lot of like, development within the story, its premise, and, developing what's going on with Dev Patel, where his character and where his like story comes from. And I can see, because the movie's like, it might have been a little over 2 hours. It didn't feel too long by any means for me, but if you're going into this movie expecting nonstop John Wick action, it's really not till the last like 35 minutes to where it really starts to kick in.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. I do feel like Dev Patel gets a little bit lost in the sauce, or maybe masala, if that's what you'd say. But yeah, I do feel like that kind of second act drags a little bit. It's all about his redemption and kind of like getting ready to take on and get his vengeance. But I do feel like for a 2-hour film, this could have easily been condensed to 90 minutes and probably still had the exact same payoff. As we know, it's a revenge movie, like we kind of know where it's going. So I do feel like when it's as simple as just getting revenge, like whether it's John Wick or Monkey Man, it does feel like, does it really necessarily need to be a full 2 hours when it's competing with everything else at the box office that's struggling to get under 2 hours? Everything seems like it's like 210, stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that I feel like Dev Patel gets a little bit lost in that second act, but the third act definitely pays off for it. So yeah, I would say that I enjoyed this for the most part. Yeah, I would say check it out if you get the chance, because it's definitely cool to see Dev Patel getting behind the camera while still staying in front of the camera as well.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see him. Like, it's a nice welcome back, I guess you could say, because he's not really disappeared or anything. We all know who Dev Patel is. You and I watched Skins for years, like when it like first came out, and he's a great character within those first two seasons, or series as they call it over there, I believe. We all know Slumdog Millionaire, nominated also for a Lion. Might take over the Jurassic Park franchise apparently as the lead role, and I'm excited to see that with Gareth Edwards helming that and stuff too. Lots of Gareths out there, I guess, with similar last names, but Dev Patel making a strong swing for his directorial debut. I think he's directed a couple shorts, but I think this is his first feature-length film, if I'm not mistaken. But you definitely see the passion that he had for it, and the grittiness within the action sequences. Like, I'm not surprised that he broke his hand, got an infected eye. This movie's gritty, it's dirty, it's bloody, it's a violent good time with great soundtrack. I thought, like, still that metal music sequence within the club, I thought, like, I was just like, damn, you don't hear this within action sequences, and this needs to happen more often. I do recommend checking it out. It's just not going to be the action movie for everyone, I guess. It's just I hate saying it, like almost comes off like an art house action movie, but anyone can watch and digest it. I'm just saying, if you're expecting nonstop John Wick action, it's not necessarily that, but you'll still have a good time with it. Yeah, that's my takeaway. What are your takeaways from the movie? Let us know in the comments below. That's a great way to help support the show. It's currently in theaters, and once it reaches Amazon, be sure to rent it through our Amazon affiliate link. That's another great way to help support us.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We got our own Instagram, Twitter, and especially TikTok, so check us out on there. We also have our own personal letterbox accounts, so check us out on there and be sure to give us a follow. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.